7 of my 10-day challenge for shifting your mindset. And again, why do we need to shift our mindsets? Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't think you need. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you're happy with the life, the frame, the thoughts, the world that you're living, and that's fantastic. Keep doing it. But if you feel stuck in some way, if you feel somehow that your thoughts take control of your life, that you feel depressed, that you're feeling oops, sorry, my phone is on a tripod and it just fell. There we go. Interesting. Things can happen. Yes, the topic is fear today, and we'll get into that. But it's if you feel stuck in some way in your surroundings, in your life, in your work, in your relationships, in yourself, then shifting your mindset is probably a very good idea. It will certainly help you to make the changes that you're desiring in your life, if this is the case. And it's much more powerful and much more helpful than complaining, certainly, because complaining, that becomes a victim mentality, which is what we talked about yesterday. If you complain about your life, you're not getting anywhere. You're getting more of what you already have. It doesn't do us any service, any good. This is why I want to do this, and it was, like I said earlier, a spur of the moment decision to do this shifting the mind challenge. And today the topic is fear and worry, or fear and stress and worry, because they're all based on fear. And of course, when a topic like that, when I prepare for a topic like that, I promise you, I get in touch with those feelings myself. I have to deal with them. I have to face them myself. This is always the case when I work the way I work with readings and healings and energy work. Whenever there's a topic coming up, whether I know of it or not, I always tap into it ahead of time. And lo and behold, yes, this morning I had to look at fear, my own fears. Because fear is natural, it's nature. We need fear. Fear is a survival mechanism that we are instilled with in order to survive real dangers. So when a tiger comes, you run. And in order to outrun a tiger, you need to run faster than normally. So your body switches off certain mechanisms, certain things that it won't need in the moment, so that you can run even faster. Your digestive system, your intellect, your lots of things in the body. I can't remember everything right now, but it's actually, this has been measured, and so that you can run up to that tree. And once the tiger's gone, you can come down, relax, and your body restores itself. Now, in our world, we have made fear almost our default. So everything, almost everything, most of us do, has an element of fear in it. Stress is a very good example. And I had to discuss a little bit with somebody who said, no, stress isn't based on fear. It's because I have too much to do. Okay, so let's follow that a little bit. Too much to do in relation to what? In relation to a deadline, maybe a client waiting for something. And so the stress appears when you're afraid of not making the deadline, or not being able to give service to the client, or not being paid, or losing your job, or not making it in time for that meeting, or being scolded when you get there. There's all sorts of elements behind this stress. If you weren't stressed, if you weren't fearful of these things, you would just do it. All these tasks, you would look at it and you say, okay, I'll start here and until I finish. And you wouldn't feel the element of stress. So stress is definitely fear-based. And when we stress the way we do, things happen in our bodies. And worry is the same thing. Well, of course, that's a little bit more obvious maybe, because you worry about something, you're afraid something's going to happen. And I'm going to share a fun exercise, if you like, at the end of this, related to worry specifically. But when it comes to fear, we need fear, we need the mechanism, so embrace it. It's a gift. That's the first thing, because we tend to make fear and stress our enemies, but fear is your gift. It's your gift of survival when you need it, when it's there's a real danger there for you. But we construct dangers based on our thoughts and belief systems. So that's 2 days ago, the video 2 days ago. Based on our self-esteem, so that's video 3, day 3, the relationship with yourself. Because if you're afraid that you're not lovable or not going to be loved, or if you've been rejected a lot as a childhood, you probably feel this more, then you will be afraid of what people think of you all the time, and you will have your antenna out there. And this is a stressful fear, keeping you on guard all the time, making sure you do the right thing, act in the right way, look perfect. All these things, they're all fear-based. And I used to do that, of course. Whenever I was on stage, I was ridden with panic because I was terrified of being proven to be a fraud, which I know a lot of musicians, actually, performers, face this, the imposter syndrome. But I was terrified of making mistakes, which caused me to make more mistakes, which confirmed my prejudice against myself, which I thought came from everybody else. So there was an element of not being good enough, not feeling lovable, if you like, because that was the end of it. And in my transition, I learned to come closer to myself, which is video 3 again, day 3 challenge, your relationship with yourself. When you come closer to yourself, you start to recognize who you are, and you start to embrace who you are, and you start to love that who you are. And whenever you step into that frame of mind, fear dissolves. And an example, I did my first concert with my own music last year. And after having created my own music, I was invited to perform this. And I was enjoying playing the piano, doing these simple piano pieces on my own, and then I had to perform them. And I was fine for a while, but then the concert got closer, and my old mechanisms of panic started to kick in. Fortunately, I discovered it. I also had some help with it. And then I could start to sort of release it and only play whenever I knew I was playing from my heart and enjoyed it. And then I got to the concert, and I stood backstage, starting to feel anxious about it. And I realized I'm moving out of myself, I'm moving back into the old pattern. I wasn't quite done with that yet. What could I do? I could make sure that I was closer to myself, and I could enjoy myself and dedicate myself to being me in the situation. I also made a pact with my guides and the universe, if you like, and I said, okay guys, let's go, let's have fun. Now, fun and play eradicates fear. So whenever you manage to have fun in something, you're going to notice that you won't even remember that you were fearful in that moment. I went on stage, I had a fantastic experience for myself, really enjoyed it, didn't play perfect, made a couple of mistakes, didn't matter, because I was close to myself, and in being close to myself, I could communicate easily, freely, and authentically with the audience. And I got lots of feedback that I, for once, accepted to be real, not fake, which I used to think. So that was my experience with that situation. Now, I'm going to give you two tools, 2 things that you can try out. There are hundreds of ways of working with fears, and it can feel like a big topic, but fear is one emotion, it's one reaction, it's energy. And once you recognize this, you can, any situation that you're fearful of, you can bring yourself to the center of that emotion, that reaction. And I had to do this morning because I recognized that doing these videos was actually a little bit fearful for me, especially today, because of the topic, because it's also a topic that seems huge. And so I had to sit down and say, okay, I am a little afraid now. So that's the first thing I would suggest that you do. You take a piece of paper And if you're not fearful at the moment, or if you have a situation you want to think about, or if you actually land in a situation and you have the option of writing down something, just say, okay, or you can just say to yourself, I am afraid. Acknowledge it. You're afraid. It's fine. There's no judgment. There's nothing wrong in being afraid. But just acknowledge it first. Notice that you're afraid to yourself. And in that, if you see a child who's afraid, what would you do? Some people will scold it and say it's not necessary. That child's not going to get the help she needs or support or he needs. So maybe you will go and embrace that child and say, I see you're afraid. Let's see what it's all about. So that's what I suggest that you do with yourself. Okay, I am afraid. Okay, that's who I am at the moment. That's not who you are, but that's your reaction. That's your emotion at the moment. And that's a mechanism that's part of being human. Then you can start writing down or thinking aloud or saying aloud, what am I fearful of? Okay, I'm afraid of speaking live. I'm afraid of saying something stupid. Okay, why are you afraid? What's the fear behind that? I'm afraid of being judged. So that mechanism is still there. This was my process this morning. It's an example. Okay, so why am I fearful of being judged? What's behind that? And then I followed it until I reached that there was still an element of not really, of messing up, of being judged negatively, which came back to, okay, I'm not really close to my own self-acceptance at the moment, or self-love. So what happened when I wrote it down, it started to dissolve because I came closer to myself in the process. So this is my suggestion, is that you have a fear, you first acknowledge that you're fearful, you're frightened. And then you go back and step by step and find out where's the core. Is it fear of not being loved? That's a big one. That's probably behind greatest percentage of the whole fearful experiences, the constructed ones. It's a real fear if you're not loved, of course, because we are here to be loved. But one thing that I've experienced and learned, and that I see in all my clients and everybody I work with and people around, we all have love in our center. You have love in your heart because you are part of creation. It's what you are. It's what you're created from. It's what you've grown up from. If this hadn't been met, maybe it's been shut off. But in your heart, your essence is love. Now, if you can acknowledge that and open up to that, then you are loved. And you won't need to, yes, we need to connect to each other, and it's beautiful to share love, but you won't be dependent on other people holding you, holding your love in order to survive, in order to feel safe. Because fear is a reaction of not being safe, feeling safe. So that was the sort of long version of dealing with a fear. And as you do so, you gain a lot of insight to yourself, and you get closer to yourself. Now, there's another way that I find that's easier. You don't always have time to go and sit down and go through everything that you're afraid of, and you're afraid and you don't know what to do. There's actually an easier way, and I find it might need a little bit of practice and a little bit of trust and exploring. Just try it out. You acknowledge the fear always. Acknowledge where you are. If you want to move somewhere, you need to know where you are. If you're going to run a marathon, you need to know where start is. So acknowledge where you are. So again, this is the sort of the quick version of moving from a fearful situation that is constructed. Then acknowledge the fear. I am afraid right now. Now, I don't know all the levels of the fear, but this is the situation I'm afraid of. Okay. So give yourself permission. Give your body permission, the universe, your guides, your higher self, whatever it is, permission to let go of the root of this fear. So if this root is lack of or fear of not being lovable or loved in any situation, if you dig deep, you might find that that's the essence. Such as when I was on stage, I used to be terrified of not being loved. That was the core of it. You can actually give yourself permission to let go of that essence, that core of the feeling of fear in that situation. Being afraid of not making it to a meeting, is that, yes, of course, if the meeting is very important, then you're going to want to get there. But does the fear, does that come from being afraid of being rejected, maybe? So you can dig and go there, but you can also say to yourself, okay, I feel this fear. Let me release. Let me let go. And you can use your arms. You can shake it off. That's what I do. And as I do that, I can, I feel my whole energy shaking, things shifting, and my hair standing on my arms, because I'm shifting things. I'm moving things along. And I'm asking myself, my body, my higher self, the universe for permission, or I'm giving myself permission to let go of the essence of that fear. And then I can face the situation from a different perspective, different energy. That was the more energetic way of working with that kind of block or fear emotion. And again, this is not when fear is a true and instinctive reaction to a true danger. Then the body needs to react. You need to react, which is beautiful. You have the ability to react. So there's a difference. We acknowledge fear as a powerful tool to protect yourself, but also as a very destructive emotion when it's an illusion, when it's constructed from a belief system or a thought system that lowers your potential and holds you back. So acknowledging first, then either follow the steps till you see the core or where it is, and then deal with it from there. Okay, I'm afraid of not being loved. I need to go to the day 3 video, and look at my relationship with myself, or find another way of getting closer to your heart and acknowledging and loving yourself, and so on. So that was my little tip for exercises you can do in releasing these unnecessary fears, because they're unnecessary, because they're constructed. It also has to do with the belief system that we talked about in the victimhood video and in the power of the word, of course. So if you notice, okay, it's a belief of the society. We had a lot of fear with COVID, of course, fear of the COVID, but also fear of vaccines. I had both energies on each side of me, with people equally fearful, but projecting it onto the other one. And I thought, this is all fear. So how do you protect yourself from the collective fear? Again, come closer to yourself, center yourself, acknowledge that you are being affected by this, and then you can choose to work with it. You can choose to ask to have it released. You can shake it off with a sound. It's powerful. So there's also another fun exercise that I was shown, or somebody shared with me, who had been given it from her therapist, about worry. And she'd had a severe illness, and she was worrying a lot about her health. And so she was invited to set a time every day and set an alarm on the clock, and dedicate herself every time a worrisome or a fear came up or a worry came up, to say, okay, I'm going to think about that at that time. So at noon, maybe. I was in the car actually when that alarm rang. That's how I know about it. I was with her. And so every time she felt herself starting to worry or be stressed or fearful about these things, okay, I'm going to think about that at 12 o'clock. And so she could let it go. She knew she would come back to the worry. And then at 12 o'clock, something interesting happened. And I'm not going to tell you, because I'm going to challenge you to try it out and see what happens with you. You can share it with me as well. So if you worry a lot, we know that, worry is a little bit of a waste of energy, because you don't know what's going to happen. But of course, if you worry when you see a kid on the ledge of a cliff, of course, you might want to take action rather than stay in the worry. It's the unnecessary worry that we do all the time, every day, that eats us up. that I'm talking about, and that you don't know the outcome anyway. So put the worry to a certain time and see what happens. And I'd love to hear what your experience is. I haven't tried it myself, but my friend had a very interesting experience. So that was my little challenge today. What else? Yes, let's do a little 3 breath again. And this time I'm going to help you to anchor yourself all the way down to the ground so that you stand firmly on the ground, because that also makes us more confident. There's more trust in that, so we can let go of fears, let go of these emotions that close us up more, so we can open up. There's also this Tony Robbins, if you know him, he talks about this superpower stance. If you stand like this, then these the fear and these obstructive emotions, they will be released. There's no way it can continue in your body. So your posture and your body has a lot to say about how you feel. So let's do the 3 breaths where you sort of gather yourself in from everywhere you've been in the last 24 hours or in the night or the day, in your thoughts, in your mind, your dreams. You might have been across the universe for all I know, or in time or space, or with other people, thoughts about other people fulfilling you. So as you sort of gather yourself in with these breaths, you will find that the other people that are sort of, or the thoughts about everybody else that you're letting in, that is sort of crowding your space, they will have to let go, because there won't be room. The more room there is for you, the more free you will be from everybody and everything that disturbs you. And by the way, it's not them disturbing you, you're pulling them in, you're letting them in. We can hook onto it, other people, but as long as you let them in, then they will be able to do so. Okay, you can close your eyes, or you can just keep them open if you have to. Take a deep breath in, and as you do, imagine that you gather your whole energy, your whole field in towards your center of your body, to the core of your body. And as you breathe out, feel how it anchors down into your hips and then all the way down through your legs onto the ground. And then breathe in and gather more of you, more of whatever it is you've left out there. Scattered around you. Bring it in. Lots of energy. Bring it into your center. That's it. And all the way down through your hips. Down to the ground. I wonder if you can feel this. It's very powerful right now. And the last elements of you that you've left out there, any time, space, dimension, whatever, bring it into you. Imagine bringing it in, centering it down through your spine, down through your heart, down through your hips, and all the way to the ground as you breathe out. And then you can let your breath go. And then I would like you to bring your attention to your heart again. Imagine there's an energy there that's light, there's love, and there's you, your essence, that you can radiate out like a big sun from the heart, round through your body, till it expands and extends beyond your body, around in a big circle around you, a bubble of energy that surrounds you at an arm's length, all around you, above, below, all sides, front and back. And feel how this energy field is, in this moment, being cleansed. And if you need to put a color on it, just imagine every fear, every disturbance, all this talk about fear being shaken off, being sparkled away from your energy field, and come back to your center, your heart, and feel how you are safe in yourself. You can always come back to your center, to you. You always have yourself, no matter what. And from there, you can play, and you can have fun, and you can feel joy, and you can be excited about being you, and about the adventure that you're on. I'm going to leave you with that. Have a beautiful, beautiful day or evening or night, wherever you are. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about money and abundance. See you then. Bye.